Green is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the witnesses for appearing. And having been a litigator for some point in my life, we engaged in a process known as voir dire or voir dire, depending on where you're from. I'm told it's a French term that means to speak the truth. Hence, this will become a truth-telling moment for you, members of the panel. If you believe that invidious discrimination in banking exists, meaning that some people get discriminated against simply because of the way they look, color of skin, if you believe that it exists, kindly extend a hand into the air. Take a photograph of that, please, sir. Keep your hand up, please, ma'am. I have in my office a series of pictures, and I have under these pictures, ask me about this picture. I was interviewed yesterday, and I had to go through about a dozen of them to explain the pictures. Let the record reflect that but one person, Ms. Young, believes that invidious discrimination exists in banking. I would challenge my colleagues across the aisle to engage in a testing process to get the latest empirical evidence of what Ms. Young has experienced, what I have experienced. A brief vignette. Some years ago, when I was a neophyte lawyer, went in, received a loan, paid it back early, never late with a payment. Went back to get a second loan. The loan officer at that time denied us the loan. 4 lawyers denied the loan. Paid a loan back early, never late. The query was why? And the answer was, because you shouldn't have received the first loan. Invidious discrimination in banking. Can any of you on the panel recall or recount a time in the history of this country when we had sufficient number of minority banks? Would you get the shot, please? Let the record reflect that no one can recall or recount a time. Can anyone explain to me how this legislation that we are currently considering as it relates to the Novo banks, how it can improve and help us with minority banks, banks in Black neighborhoods and Latino neighborhoods? Yes, it'll probably help us with rural and others, but can you give me some rationale as to how it's going to help us get more Black banks? Please.
Congressman Green, yes, I believe I can.
I welcome to your words, sir. Just be terse and laconic, pithy and concise.
Thank you. Well, yes, I think this would, I'm not familiar with the specifics of all of Mrs. Young's application, but I think she was talking about some of the same things as rural banks face, the lack of, requiring too much upfront
I understand,
capital.
but if I may, please.
Yes.
If I may intercede, and you're being very kind to me, so I don't mean to be rude, crude, and unrefined, but that won't help with the problem that Black people have with starting banks. It really is a money problem. How does that help us get more people who can raise this large sum of money necessary to start a de novo bank?
I don't know that it would solve all the problems.
I'm not talking about all. Let's talk about one in particular that we all seem to have who are of
Well,
color,
if you
and that's
need
money.
less money in front and you have phased-in capital, I think that would help.
If you have what?
If you have phased-in capital like the bill does, rather than having to put, like, say, I think the gentleman here mentioned, like, say, 4 million, and then it was twice as much the others. I think, all of the sort of entrepreneurs outside the system who have trouble raising that kind of money.
I've got 22 seconds, and I concur with you that phased in is better. I prognosticate that with phased in, you won't phase in very many banks that will be owned by African Americans. It looks good on paper, But when you're talking about millions, it doesn't benefit people who don't have millions. And this has been a problem for us since our arrival here. We've integrated things, but we've not integrated the money. I'm for
Gentleman's time
integrating
has
everything,
expired.
and that includes the money.
Gentleman's time has expired. The
Thank you, Mr.
gentleman from North Carolina.